The Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions battle on Sunday night in one of the biggest regular season games in NFL history. The winner will determine who gets the NFC's #1 seed in the playoffs, home field advantage, and a first-round bye. The winner also claims the NFC North title. For a preview of this massive game, I spoke with CBS Detroit sports anchors Rachel Hopmayer and Jeff Lesson and our very own Ren Clayton. Take a listen. I want to pose this question to you all. Where does this game rank in terms of importance to each team's regular season history? So, Rachel, I want you to answer that first.
Ultimately, I think this game is important for sure, but the Lions have clinched the playoffs. The 1 seed is absolutely on their list of things to accomplish, but it's not going to deter them anymore from their pursuit of a Super Bowl. So important, yes. Life altering, the most dramatic game in the world? I really don't think so.
Jeff, how about you?
The Lions are the only unbeaten road team in the league. So, if they lose this game, yeah, they'd have to go on the road for the playoffs, but it doesn't mean I'd rule them out. It means they have to play an extra game, and they lose that extra week of the bye, which is important to them with all their injuries on defense. So there's both sides of it, but I don't think it's the end of the world if the Lions lose this game.
Okay, Ren, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. The Lions are so good on the road; it's hard to take one over the other. The Vikings, I think they really want that home seed, that home field advantage. They so enjoy playing at US Bank Stadium. They have that home field advantage that they like to rely on. The crowd noise, opposing teams always have to plan for it, practice. They play the sound. Just historically, like the Vikings are, haven't been the 1 seed in since 1998 when they went to that NFC Championship game. We all know they lost that Gary Anderson kick to the Falcons.
So, Rachel, I want to first talk injuries with you. So, how has Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs really handled a bigger workload the past couple of weeks with David Montgomery out on an MCL injury?
Yeah, that's a really valid question. I think statistically speaking, fans of these two teams, it's easy when you look at the backs' careers we have going on here. It's easy to say, okay, maybe David Montgomery is the equivalent to Aaron Jones, two wonderfully kind gentlemen that I've had the pleasure of covering around the NFC North. They're dynamic, while Gibbs and Daniel Jones maybe earlier in their career, but realistically, you can't compare to how they've been utilized and what Jahmyr is picking up in David's absence.
And for the Vikings, Ren, hey, so linebacker Blake Cashman missed the first matchup, right, between the two teams back in October due to injury. So how much of a difference do you think it'll make knowing he'll be back on the field this Sunday?
Yeah, I'm glad you had Blake Cashman on the list because he's really an X factor for the team in general. You mentioned he was out for that Lions game. He was also out for the LA Rams game. Those are the two losses the Vikings have had all season. They've won every other game. He's so key to the Vikings as far as the pass defense over the middle. And we know the Lions love to throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, those deep routes over the middle. He's been such a big addition along with a couple other linebackers, those two outside linebackers that just made the Pro Bowl for the first time, Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. But Blake Cashman, Minnesota guy, Eden Prairie and University of Minnesota, has been so key for this team. I think he could be one of the big differences defensively, maybe improvements from the first Lions game to this one.
Jeff, what do you expect the atmosphere to be like this Sunday night at Ford Field?
Well, it'll be crazy, Maria. Detroit fans are really not used to this until last year. Everyone knows about the legendary historical ineptness of the Lions until last year. And so fans are kind of enjoying this. And, they talk about the legendary so-called 12th man in Seattle, the fans there. I think the Ford Field fans are going to put that to a test this week. And it's going to be loud. It's going to be packed. It's going to be crazy. Talk radio has been a buzz about it, like I've never seen before. And I've worked in sports radio for many years here. And it's going to be fun. And, it's going to be, the atmosphere is going to be something like has never been seen before at Ford Field.
And we know how close the last one was. 2 points. Ren, why do you think so many Vikings games have been close this season in general?
Yeah, it's interesting because a couple years ago, Kevin O'Connell's first year, there was a whole bunch of one-score games that they were winning as well. I will say this season, it doesn't necessarily feel as fluky as it did last year. We can point out the Buffalo Bills game from 2 years ago that ended. I mean, it was a lot of luck. We saw the amazing Justin Jefferson catch, but this year, for a couple of reasons, it's a little more probably inspiring, I guess, if you want to call it that. Sam Darnold has got to be a reason why a lot of these games, these close games, have gone the Vikings' way. He's been really clutch. Can't really put it any other way. He's been so poised and at delivering game-winning drives when they needed to, or go-ahead drives.
I have a final question for each of you as well. I'd like you to come up with 2 keys to victory for Sunday night's game. Ren, you go first.
We talked about the tight ends. Why not talk about TJ Hawkinson, the former Detroit Lion? We haven't seen him get a touchdown yet this year. Obviously, he missed a good portion of the beginning of the year with an injury. He's looked good since coming back. There's been some games where he hasn't gotten a whole bunch of targets, but we know there's a lot of mouths to feed in the Vikings offense. How about he gets a touchdown against his former team in a huge game? That could be a key to victory when everybody's going to be focusing on Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. And then the other key I kind of alluded to earlier is we saw last game, what was it, 22 for 25 that Jared Goff went passing. He's so good when he can sit back and have time to pass. They have to get to the quarterback, the Vikings do. If they don't, they could be in trouble.
Hawkinson is a beast, but for the Lions to win, they're going to need turnovers. That's been their elixir, to make up for a secondary that's been quite leaky for much of the season due to injuries and so forth. And so they're going to hope that Sam Darnold throws a couple errant throws, and I think they're going to need that. And also the other thing they're going to need some help for Terrion Arnold, who's probably going to be matched up with Jefferson, at least for part of the time. And Aaron Glenn likes to run a lot of man-to-man, and I just think he's need a lot of help. His Pro Football Focus grade is really, really low in the NFL. Going up against one of the top, maybe the top receiver in all of football, might not hurt them to run a little bit more zone.
It's going to be really important for the Lions to collapse Sam Darnold's pocket. Obviously, we've seen the incredible season and growth he's had, but if they want to attack and not give him any room to scramble, it's going to be key to get those pressures in early. I also think Jared Goff needs to keep being Jared Goff. Frank Ragnow talked yesterday about how sharp his command and field vision has gotten as of late, on top of the basically MVP caliber season he's been having outside of the one Houston game, which basically knocked him out of it, all the talking heads conversation for what he's done. So I think it'll be important for Jared Goff to be as accurate as ever. They can't afford to take a step back in terms of talent in the pocket if they want to keep slinging things downfield to J-Mo, to Amon-Ra, to Sam Laporta, to plenty of receivers that are going to be there to haul him in.
And kickoff for Sunday's game with the Vikings versus the Lions is set for 7:20 p.m. It is at the Ford Field in Detroit. And our Mike Max will be there in Detroit for the game. You can follow along on WCCO for full coverage.